Here we are playing Age of Steam and beginning to see more and more how important the beginning of the turn choices are. Issuing shares. How much money are you going to have to be able to lay the track that you want or do the actions, even bidding on turn order, that you need? Determining player order, well, it's becoming more and more important as people are interacting more and more. Some people can kind of stay out of it. In this case, blue got away with their opening turn order pass, and they ended up first. Nobody was willing to bid, so everything got reversed. Now we go to the selection period, and blue has first pick. I have to remember what I wanted to do with them. Damn. They were really key on something, and now I got to go back and remember. I'll come back when I pick those. Okay, so I made those picks. Blue said that they needed an engineer. Their desire is to hit down to Des Moines. Yellow wanted to do the same thing, shooting upward, but obviously both sides can't do that. So red got the next pick. They took urbanization. They're looking to improve a city that only they have and increase their ability to get more cubes on the board, because whatever city they have will have 2 cubes in it. And that's something that they see as really important at this point in the game. Green took production again. They're in an area that's pretty much devoid of cubes right now. They have the one set in St. Louis. They're going to need more growth, and as they see it, they'd like to improve St. Louis. They'd like to perhaps improve Evansville or other locations, and it seemed the best pick to them at the moment. Yellow took first build. They're looking at, hey, I can shoot down and hook up to St. Louis. It gets me closer to my other stuff. Great. You know, maybe I can hook it all up and get some long runs in if I ever get a train. But right now I'm going so minimalist, and it's working pretty well for me. I have a pile of money because I'm not spending much. And the final choice is purple, who had to look long and hard at their choices, but then realized, I have a hell of a long route. Yeah, I can't run this yellow cube through Wheeling, but from Wheeling I can go 1, 2, 3, 4 already without building any track, and I didn't have a 4 train, so they built their locomotive and grabbed themselves a better train, and they're going to pull in a lot of additional income because they have a couple of cubes that nobody can reach right now. Well, you know, red could come down, no question. They're not planning on it. They're planning on improving this and connecting to it. But actually, if they do the urbanization, which they've got planned, it only costs them $4. Can they hit here as well? 5, 6, 7. They have the cash for it. So red will probably be playing in that world as well, just to get that additional space in there. So that's kind of a danger for purple. They may not have as many cubes available to them as they think they do. All right, that means we're up to building track. And quickly, in order, we see the track beginning to get more complex at this point. So for example, purple laid the first crossover here at this city, and that cost them just $3, the same as any, well, town, the same as any other town has. We see blue used the engineer. Finally, somebody's got enough cash to lay 4 tracks in a row. Green is setting themselves up to try to cut across here. So a lot of different, you know, breaking into those territories that aren't really available to the people right now. Is this the best move? Well, green gets a town this way, for example. What else might they have done? They could have done some sort of break off from here to try to get to Des Moines. But, and they actually went before purple, so it might have seemed worthwhile. But right now, you know, it was more valuable to add more space to them. So now we go to the delivery, and nobody's got a first move, so we start with blue on this. And I'll just dump them off. One thing to note, green has the production, so they'll be trying to add to their pool up here before the die rolls to see what areas they can benefit themselves most with. Unfortunately, at this point, most of the areas they're playing in, other people are in too, so they're not going to be able to get the assured advantage that maybe some of the other people who might have wanted to pick production would be able to get. So after the income phase, we see purple and red have shot up to 18. Blue, yellow, and green are trailing a little behind. Everybody's making a lot of money, though. Red especially, their little private world over here, they have $12 sitting in the bank at the end of this. Other people, well, 9 for yellow with their minimalist approach. Now, that approach doesn't give them a lot of victory points. Maybe. It's hard to tell. They have a decent amount of track. So, you know, the fact that they haven't sold shares and haven't had to go with a big engine, yet are still up there, is pretty impressive. That they're not far behind, say, Blue, who's, you know, bought an extra engine and sold a couple of shares of track that are, a couple of shares of stock that are against them. Green, however, feels kind of hapless, but they made a choice to up their engine here. They went up to a level 3, and that kept them from making any money this turn. You'll see they have nothing, but that also kept them at the 10 spot, so they don't pay the penalty. Speaking of the penalty, it's time for it. Everybody goes back 2 except for them. And that immediately makes, you know, that waiting and seeing and trying to produce more money next turn more valuable looking, except for one little problem. Green doesn't have any resources near them. They could have shipped a resource. Of course, there'd be one less then, probably. But they could have shipped a resource instead. They chose not to. Now we're going to go to the goods production. And just before that happens, Green, with their production shit, is going to get to pick a couple of the cities that they're near to try to put some extra produce so that if a roll comes up in its favor, it's for their good. Probably aim at St. Louis, but they may spread and like put something in St. Louis and something somewhere else. Here's the problem. Everywhere that they are, other people are. They're not in a lot of cities. They're in Evansville, St. Louis, Chicago, and that's it. Hey, nobody's taken the turn order marker. That means bidding will have to happen or else things will get reversed completely. Okay, but Green's move for the production actually paid off. They got 2 rolls in St. Louis. They wanted to kind of spread out and make it more likely that a place would hit, but then they saw it and said, you know, with my location and turn order, the chances of me delivering something, if it's not in St. Louis and there's only 1 token there, isn't going to be good. So I'll fill up. I'll try to improve however much. Now St. Louis is empty, though, again. We see some of the new areas got counters, and that's much more likely, these new cities, because, you know, they haven't been depleted the same way. Now, this all makes sense from a business point of view in the sense that you're getting income for the goods that you've delivered in the past. So new good counters you start delivering are indicating new trade routes, new markets you're opening, rather than just delivering the same stuff again and again. All right, it's time to jump into the last turn of the game. And right now, it looks like red and purple have a pretty decent lead in terms of income. I'm not going to count points on the board. I'm not going to look at all that. I'm just going to try to optimize what we are and look at things. I don't like looking too carefully at who's going to win in advance. In fact, if I do that, I will make myself miserable in this game. And if I were playing with people who were doing that, they would make me miserable. So I'd rather not take that push. Okay, so here we are in the last turn. And I've done some of the things. I sold stock shares. Only Green released a share. And they needed some extra capital to build. The only person who didn't have a pile of money, remember? Well, they also didn't have enough to bid and went early enough in the turn order that they ended up last. Blue opened bidding up at 1, but then bowed out after red did a 2. Everyone else also passed. So we have blue falling back, red falling back. Some bids that are in place. Now those bids were easy to make in the sense that, well, I don't really care what I get. I counted what I need for this turn. This is the last turn of the game. It doesn't matter what I save. Money is worthless at this point. In fact, the production pick is worthless because I don't worry about the cubes. It's the cubes that are on the map that count, and that's it. Okay. So now what we're in is selecting the special actions, and I'm going to definitely put some thought into that. Again, I'm not over calculating. I want to be able to play this quickly, and I would think it would actually be better on a timer. Let me briefly go over the strategy on the picks. First pick, red. They took an engineer. They have this desire to build 4 spaces, not 3. They have the cash for it. Each space is worth a victory point that they build. So as long as they can hook something up, and they've got a 4-space line here. There's another 1, 2, 3, 4 here if need be. They want those points, and that's how they're going to get them. That's how they're going to get that extra point. Should they have taken the train? Maybe. They don't have a lot of train here. They may have erred by taking the engineer. Bad choice, but they were counting on that 4-space pick. They could have made more spaces here, though, with the train, I think. I think they could make 2 spaces instead of maybe 1 off the 4-space. But they were looking specifically at the fact that they connected those 2 up. It was an error. Okay, how about blue? Blue picked a locomotive. This is almost a no-brainer, but blue was at 3. Their longest run is 3. 1, 2, 3. So unless they get the build they want, which is this one, I don't think that they can make a 4 run. So that may be an issue for them too, but they're going early enough. Only red or yellow with the first move marker could beat them out. Now yellow's unlikely to build a double track, and red took the engineer marker, so they're unlikely to take this space. Okay, on to purple. Purple took first build. At this point, we're running out of options that make much sense. First build and first move are the 2 important ones. I'm sorry, purple's going to get the first build, not yellow. Yellow's got first move, which is different. So purple might take this. It's conceivable, but purple's got this piece here, and they were planning actually on shooting across to Des Moines. They might have enough money to go up here. No. So they've got to go across to Des Moines, and there's not much else for them to do. Yeah, unless they could urbanize this, and they didn't take that pick. Okay, yellow. Yellow took what? They took the first move. Might be a lot of competition for things like Des Moines and St. Louis. They want to make sure that they can get some resources of the right colors in the right places, and this is their best way of doing it, and there's just not much left. And the final one's green, and I looked and said, well, production's unimportant and turn order's unimportant. Urbanization, maybe I can do something with that. Maybe I can lay a city down and build out of it that I'll like, as opposed to some of the other options. Right now, there was nothing else left that was even possibly worth anything. Okay, so what do we go to? We go to, and I upgraded the locomotive already, so we go to the build track, and we get our first build. And looking at the track lays, green played a city here. Purple shot their track up here, getting 3 track lays that they wanted with the first move. Red built the track they were planning. Blue, the track they were planning. They could have taken this, which instead yellow took. And they could have cut yellow off that way. They weren't really thinking. They were focusing on their own little idea and ended up allowing yellow to connect. I don't think that's going to be a huge deal, but it might be. Yellow might be the surprise winner here, and this might be a big piece of that. It shouldn't be. They don't have much train, so what can they really do? Huh? I don't know. Okay, what's next? Green. Green had only enough money for 2 track placements. They played here, ended up cutting off their little town down here, whatever it is, Fort Wayne. Okay, wow. That puts us at what point? Yeah, we complete the game completely. So we're going to be at the move segment. We've got this engineer, locomotive's been done, urbanization's been done. First move's all that's left. Yellow's going to get the jump on that. And I'll move them like this, and we'll see what we end up with at the end. So a quick investigation of the income track, the shares, and the trains shows that nobody's going to go bankrupt here. Nobody's going to lose money. Everybody's making money this turn, actually. So that's not an issue. I'm not going to even count the points on that because money's of no value. I'm also not going to do the playing with these charts and rolling dice and all that. There's no point to it. What I am going to do, though, is I have to worry about income reduction. And what we have is $2 down each until we get here where it's 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's painful. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're sitting in this position where we got purple in the lead there. And remember, these are worth 3 points each. And red and blue kind of tied. Yellow and green, they look out of it. Let's see for sure, though. So to begin with, we calculate out our points. So yellow has 13 times 3 is 39. And I'm writing these down. Green has 14 times 3, which is 42. Red and blue have 18 times 3, which sounds like 54 to me. A big difference there, right? And purple has 20, which is worth 60. Okay, that's where we are so far. Then what I do is I count the track pieces. And the only track pieces that count, and I may be mistaking this because the way the rules are written here isn't terribly clear. They receive 1 victory point for each section of track that comprises part of a completed railroad link. Well, something like this is a completed railroad track link. I'd say this is 3 sections of track. Good enough. Okay, but sections of track are denoted by the separations between track tiles and between cities and towns. I'm not sure what that means in relation to these town spaces. My judgment has been you don't count either side of the town space itself. I'm not sure if that's correct. But so, for example, yellow on this piece of track would only get 2 points, not 4, which would be the 2 different amounts that I could see it being adjudged as. I think that's correct. It gives a bone to towns. And remember, towns can turn into cities, so that's kind of fair. You shouldn't get penalized there, I think, for it not being... I think that would cause people to urbanize your stuff to take points away from you if that was the case, which I don't think makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now we have the points here, which I've written down, and that's all very close. Green is the only one way behind. What are they? The hell? They're only at 10. I don't know how that happened, but they ended up with very few track pieces. But everyone else, 14, 15, or 16 across the board. All right, now what? Well, now the penalty is $3 for each share that you have. And let's start looking at those. So yellow has 4 shares and is at minus 12. Red has 5 and is at minus 15. Now these are a big deal. Blue is at 6, which is minus 18. And right there, red's just pulled ahead of blue. And purple and green are at 7, which means they're at minus 21 each. Poor green, we know they're hosed, right? Okay, so where do we get with points? Well, we just add up the totals here. So 54 for red. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if you care. 52 for blue. 53 for purple. What a close game. 41 for yellow, not so hot. And 31 for green. But yeah, 3 players right at the top here. 54 points for red gives them the win. I thought they were going to win, but then when I saw purple jump ahead like this, oh, I thought it was over. Same amount of stock difference though. All right. A lot going on here. Certainly one could have looked at that last turn and calculated out a lot more than I wanted to. But I did make moves, at least with moving the goods, to try to bone the people that I was afraid of. Red, blue, and purple. Everybody was trying to hit at least one of them. And red actually did some damage and stripped away a piece that purple could have used. I don't know if it meant anything in terms of points, though, because purple had the ability to reach Des Moines, which had a lot of tokens in it that they could run. Okay, I'll come back with a review, but I'm going to load this one up for now.